Shri Harinam Sankirtan Yajna ki Jai Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki Nitai Gaura Premanjana. So when is the birthday girl's birthday?
It was on 23rd.
Very nice. And that's the reason why we are actually getting an opportunity to come together. Very nice. Thank you, Prabhu and Mataji, for having invited us over. You know, when we have children's birthdays, as parents, it becomes a very important affair for us, especially when they're very young. You know, every birthday becomes such an important birthday. Is that your younger one?
She's my younger.
Where's the younger one? Ah, she's there. Oh, she's very young. Okay, fine.
2 months.
Okay, so she's very young. So when we have children, I think you all will realize one thing, that out of nowhere, somehow or another, when the mother is expecting for so many months, we just don't know how. But when you look at the process of creation, it's really amazing. How an entire being can come out so perfectly. Everything, every single organ in the body can actually come out so perfectly. And even if the child is perfect or not perfect, for every parent, their child is perfect. Why? Because we don't realize that whenever something is given to us, and we realize that it has come through much endeavor and much blessing, in such a momentous occasion, we learn to accept and be grateful for what has come. In all my years of spending time with couples who have just had a child, I've never met a couple who comes to me and says, you know, well, I wish my child looked like this, or I wish my child turned out this way when they're just born. There is no one who comes to tell me that. And no matter in what shape, what form, what size, what ability the child has, for every parent that has the child, they are generally speaking very grateful. Very grateful. For those who believe in God, they become grateful to God. For those who don't believe in God, they're just grateful at least. Grateful that everything turned out alright. Either way, Bhagavatam, our scriptures tell us, the culture of gratitude is very important. Very important. Krishna, when he was a young boy, he was also very grateful to his parents. Even though he is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, yet he behaved just like a child to his parents. And there are so many instances in Krishna book where you find Krishna was just behaving just like a young boy. He needed to be disciplined by his mother, Yashoda. He would carry the slippers for his father in the mornings. When he went out in the morning, before he went out, Mother Yashoda would fuss over him to make sure that he was all dressed up well. I'm sure mothers, you fuss over your children before they leave. Fathers tend to be a bit callous. We say, he looks alright. But mother says, no, he hasn't put the powder on, no, his belt is not alright. So Mother Yashoda was like that. She was always fussing over Krishna also. But the important thing Mother Yashoda also did was, every morning she and the gopis, they had a variety of ways to protect Krishna from inauspiciousness. Sometimes they would wave water. It's very traditional in Vedic civilization that just water, if you wave it. The beauty of this exchange is that these are very great devotees of Krishna. Krishna reciprocated with them on the basis of their love for him as parents. So Krishna played the perfect role of the perfect child. If Krishna was to be seen as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, then his parents would have very great difficulty trying to mother the Supreme Personality. Very difficult. So Krishna is so kind that he didn't bother his parents. He actually just created a situation where his parents could feel that he was just their child. When Arjuna decided that he would spend time with Krishna, Arjuna's relationship with Krishna was always that of a good friend. Very good friend. Bhagavatam tells us if Arjuna saw a beautiful princess passing by, he would not hesitate to speak to Krishna and say, Krishna, look at this princess, she looks very nice, what do you think? We would hesitate because we would think, Krishna knows. So maybe we go somewhere else and say this to someone else, but we feel that we can't say this to Krishna because our relationship may be more formal. But Krishna and Arjuna, they were very informal. But the beauty is when Arjuna became confused at the start of Bhagavad Gita about what to do and what not to do, then Krishna's relationship with Arjuna changed. Because then Arjuna said that I have lost my composure, I have lost my confidence, and I'm not sure whether I should fight or not. And at that point of time, he turns to Krishna and he says, Krishna, I'm no longer now just a friend, or you are no longer now my friend. Now I'm a disciple, and I'm a soul surrendered to you. You please instruct me what to do. So in Bhagavad Gita, the relationship starts as friends, but when Arjuna realizes that he has become confused, he turns to Krishna, but he turns to Krishna as a preceptor, as a guide. So this is the greatness of Krishna. According to how we are trying to relate to him, God has this great capacity to relate with us. Sometimes we think that there is nothing really we can relate with God, but we don't realize that actually He's more ready to relate with us than we are ready to relate with Him. Which brings me back to the other point that I wanted to bring up today. This point of auspiciousness. We are getting together today to celebrate a birthday. Why? Because Chetan Prabhu and family want to create auspiciousness in the house. That's why we do this. You could have thrown a party, you could have done other things, but you decided that maybe I have to call my friends over for another occasion, but I definitely want some chanting and I want to create some spiritual atmosphere. Why? Because I want to invoke auspiciousness. So what is auspiciousness? That is something that sometimes we hear very often about, but we don't realize what it means. When you go to a temple and you do the pujas, generally for us we feel it is auspicious to do the pujas, so we have an occasion and we do a puja so that the occasion goes off successfully. For example, if you have an exam, you pray very hard, you create some auspiciousness and hopefully you will pass. But of course you may forget the fact that you have not studied. That's alright, but you hope that the auspiciousness will overtake your lack of studying and somehow or another you will pass. But when you realize that actually auspiciousness is good, but then result is also very important and your hard work is also very important. So very often in this material world, when we think of auspiciousness, we think of it in terms of material things. We think that if we get a big house, a big car is very auspicious. But you ask the people who have a big house and big car, and they will tell you, besides this, we have hundreds of other problems. So those who don't have something, they think that if we get something, it becomes very auspicious, it's very good. So very often we go to the temple, we have programs, and we want to create auspiciousness. But we don't realize what auspiciousness really means. In this material world, auspiciousness is very subjective. Sometimes what is auspicious in one culture is considered inauspicious in another culture. You must have seen this if you travel. Take for example Singapore. Now August month was Janmashtami and now Radhashtami is coming. For the Chinese population, August month is the start of the Hungry Ghost Festival. If you are dealing with property, you will realize not a single one of them will buy or sell property during the Hungry Ghost month. They say it's very inauspicious. For us, Janmashtami, Radhashtami are the most auspicious events. And if we say we have very auspicious feel of this month, they look at you and say, oh really? This is the month when the gates of hell are open. Ghosts are running around everywhere. Tell your children, don't go out too much in the dark, don't step on anything funny and come back home. That's what they will tell you. And they have another saying also. They say that anyone who is sick during this month, if their sickness continues, they will die. That's what they have also. I mean, I've grown up in Singapore, so I can tell you many, many stories about the Hungry Ghost Festival. But today we have prasadam, so we will feed them. Hopefully they will not be hungry. But my point is, what is auspicious in the material realm for one culture is very often inauspicious in the material realm for another culture. There's another nice story actually. You all know Akbar and Birbal, so I don't have to tell you who Akbar is and who Birbal is. But you do know that Birbal was not only wise, but he was also a devotee of Lord Ram. He's a very great devotee of Lord Ram. So what happened was, one day, Birbal was not with Akbar. And Akbar was walking down the road. And he was giving darshan to everyone else because he's the king. As he's walking by, he happened to see a shoemaker. And he saw the way the shoemaker was making the shoe, and he became very interested. Kept looking and looking and looking, and he bumped into a pillar he did not see in front. It sometimes happens to us. We become very interested in something, we don't know where we're going. Have you noticed how we all keep looking at our WhatsApp and then we cross the road? Highly dangerous. So Akbar had the same problem. He got distracted by the shoemaker and he bumped into the pillar. So he was bruised, on his face. All the other courtiers, they were always what we call people who wanted to carry Emperor Akbar so that they could get favors. So they thought this is the best time for us to sympathize with the emperor. So they said, "My dear emperor, what has caused this injury to you?" So Akbar very innocently said, "Well, I was looking at the shoemaker and then I bumped into a pillar." So one of the courtiers said, "That means this shoemaker is very inauspicious. Imagine in this kingdom, just by looking at him, you have become injured. And you are the king. So we should not have such people around you, Maharaj." So Akbar said, "What is to be done?" So they say, "Such people should be hanged. We cannot have such inauspiciousness." So Akbar thought, yeah, this is a good idea. Any inauspiciousness is my duty as a king to eradicate it. So let's eradicate the shoemaker. So he put him on what we call the hanging list. Next morning, Birbal comes back. He looks at the hanging list and he sees a shoemaker. And he's wondering why the shoemaker is added to this list. So Akbar says to him, "Birbal, have you looked at the list?" He says, "Yeah, I've looked at the list. What do you think?" So he said, "Why is the shoemaker here?" So he related to him, "Oh, this one is very inauspicious. Yesterday I was just walking, I looked at him and I injured myself. So that means anyone who sees him, something will happen to them." So then Akbar asked Birbal, "Do you have anyone else you want to put on the list?" And Birbal said, "Yes, one last person, and that's you, Maharaj." So Akbar got very upset. "Birbal, you can joke, but you can't joke on these things, He said, "No, I consider you the most inauspicious element in this kingdom." And Akbar said, "Why?" And Birbal said, "You walked by and you saw the shoemaker and you got hurt. As you were walking and you saw the shoemaker also saw you. And after seeing you, today he's going to hang. How much inauspicious you are. You got hurt, but he's going to die. Why? Because he saw you. So therefore, you deserve to die. Because you are the greatest source of inauspiciousness." And then Akbar realized, this is foolishness on my part. To blame something that happens to me on someone else. And this is the root cause of difficulty in this world. Very often the nature of our mind is that we blame everyone except ourselves. And we don't realize when we blame everybody except ourselves, the only person who's miserable is ourselves. If you criticize someone, you don't like someone, you don't realize that he or she sleeps very nicely at night. They continue their life. But you and I, we can't sleep. Because we are constantly thinking of this person. How bad he is, how hurt I am, how upset I am. But they get very good night's sleep. We lose our health over people. And yet we blame them for being inauspicious. But we don't realize how inauspicious we are in having bad thoughts. That's why Chaitanya Prabhu has called us together. So that we can actually generate good thoughts. Auspiciousness. So material life, auspiciousness is very subjective. And all things come from the mind. That's why it is stated in Bhagavatam very clearly that the nature of the mind is such that the mind alone is the source of all miseries. It's a very, very good instruction from our sastras. The moment the mind changes its attitude and the mind becomes engaged at the lotus feet of Krishna, or whatever you call the name of God, it doesn't matter. But the moment you call out the names of God and you engage your mind and the senses at His lotus feet, then everything becomes auspicious. Even if we are in a poverty-stricken condition, even if we are rich, even if we have something or we don't have something, everything becomes auspicious. This is a very important point. That is why just a few weeks ago we celebrated another birthday. Not the birthday of a human being, but the appearance of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. We call it Janmashtami. When Krishna appeared in this world, we use the word appearance. Why? Because Krishna does not come into this world because he's forced into somebody's womb and he has to come. Every child that comes into this world comes on account of previous life. And from previous life, the life continues in this life. So whatever accounts that we have then, the debits and credits, they come down and they continue. So if your credits are a lot, all right, for a while in this life, you're looking good. But if you don't continue to amass credits, then what happens? The debits come. And when the debits come, you know you're counting. The credits go, you have a very bad balance sheet. And ultimately, because there is no Krishna in the center, whether you accumulate credit or debit, you are still stuck, because you always have to balance it. That is why auspiciousness in the spiritual world has nothing to do with the law of karma. Inauspiciousness and auspiciousness in the material world always has to do with the law of karma. That's why in the material world we don't realize that all the actions that we do, if Krishna is not in the center, somehow or another the actions will have a reaction. If you put Krishna in the center, every action has a reaction, but the reaction doesn't disturb us. The reaction actually makes us stronger in our faith, and it makes us more peaceful. Now look at all these children. They're everywhere. They're talking, they're making noise. They may appear to be distracting. But the topic that we are speaking about, somehow or another we are trying to pay attention. Why? Because the topic has to do with Krishna. That is why it is interesting. Otherwise we can become very distracted, but none of you are distracted. And I'm very grateful for that. You're all very, very attentive. Because the nature of what we are speaking is spiritual. If we were speaking about something that had to do with matter, the reaction to it is disturbing. Either at one point something will be very nice and you are very happy, but eventually, unfortunately, in this world, nothing ever lasts forever. If only, I don't know how you are, but when my children were very young, I kept telling them, don't grow up. I like you at this age, don't grow up. I kept telling my son and daughter, don't grow up. This is the best age. You know, they reach an age where they're really adorable. They run around. They're not monsters in one sense. You know, they won't grow horns and make trouble for you. That age is perfect age. After they pass that age, then you watch. The horns grow very quickly and they have a life of their own. So my point is, nothing stays forever. In this world, nothing stays forever. We try, but nothing stays forever. That is why we should be clear that whatever action we take in this world, whether it is auspicious or inauspicious, actually in material sense, there's always a reaction to it. Always a reaction to it. I'm just remembering one more story from Akbar and Birbal I can share with you. There was Akbar, and he had this barber. Barber was very close to Akbar, and one day he said, Akbar, can I just tell you something which is troubling me? So Akbar said, okay, tell me what it is. You are like the master of the whole of Bharat at this moment. You're the Lord. But what about all your ancestors in the heavenly planets? Are you taking care of them? So Akbar said, I may be the Lord of all I survey here, but how am I taking care of them in heavenly planets? I don't know what they're doing. So now this barber actually was an enemy of Birbal. He and a few courtiers, they were actually very envious of Birbal. So they were thinking how to get rid of him. So they hatched a plan. So the barber tells the king, I have a way, there is a way to go to the heavenly planets. All you have to do is select one very, very suitable personality. You light a fire over hay, chant some mantras, and that person will go all the way up to the heavenly planets. There he can see what your ancestors are doing, and then very simple, you just see that they are doing well, and then he can come back and he can report to you. Akbar was thinking, this is very nice. So if that's the case, I can also take care of my ancestors. Then he asked the Baba, who do you think my friend should go? Baba said, who else but your trusted Birbal? He's the only one qualified to go. So next day Akbar states in the assembly, this is my idea now. I'm going to send someone to see the heavenly ancestors, and there I will take care of them. And I want the most qualified person, and that is Birbal. So Birbal was thinking, why am I being sent for this terrible task? So Birbal asked Akbar, my lord, this is a great idea. Was it your idea? Akbar knows what is happening. So Akbar gives Birbal a little bit of a hint. Actually, it's not my idea, Birbal, it's the barber's idea. So Birbal now realizes what is happening. So Birbal said, my lord, I'm ready to take this task, but I need 2 weeks to prepare myself. In the meantime, you prepare the hay and get ready the spot where I'm going to be burnt and I will go up. Before that, I will take care of my family and arrangements, because in case I have to extend my stay in the heavenly planets to take care of your ancestors, at least, they will be alright here. Akbar thought, alright, I don't know what this fellow is thinking, but alright, let him do what he wants. In the meantime, Akbar gets few people, Birbal gets few people, friends, and they dig a hole from his house, a tunnel, all the way to the place where the hay is going to be burnt. On the day when he's going to be burned, Birbal stands there. As the flames go up, unknown to the people, he jumps into the tunnel and he goes all the way back to his house. To all the friends of Birbal, they thought, what a sacrifice Birbal has done. He has given his life so he can go and see the heavenly ancestors of Akbar and take care of them and come back. To the enemies, very good, he's dead now. So Baba was particularly pleased. 2 months later, one man comes in with very long beard and long hair. And everyone is looking at him and they can't recognize him except Akbar. Akbar says, Birbal, you have come back from the heavenly planets. And Birbal said, yes, my lord. All your ancestors are very happy. Your father is happy, grandfather is extra happy, great-grandfather is extra happy. So Akbar said, are they all alright? Do they need something? Birbal says, my lord, they have everything except one thing. They don't have a barber in the heavenly planets. That is why my beard is very long, my hair is very long, and there's no one to actually take care of this. So Akbar says, what do you suggest we should do? So Birbal said, they are saying that we should have a barber from here who's very expert. Akbar goes along. Do you know anyone who's very expert? My lord, your royal barber is very, very expert. He should go. And when he goes there, then at least, all their beards will be trimmed and all their hair will be cut and they will all be very happy. So Akbar says, since it's my duty, to take care of the heavenly ancestors also, they need a barber. So Baba can go. And of course, the Baba disappeared from the kingdom once and for all. It's a simple story, but it tells you something about the nature of this world. Whatever that you mean to start in this world has a way of coming back to you. And if you mean ill for people, then there is no auspiciousness, no matter how many 100 times you go to a temple to create auspiciousness. That is why when Krishna came and appeared in this world, he destroyed all the inauspicious elements like Kamsa, like all the other demons. Because the nature of this demon was just like the Baba. They never meant well for anyone, and they were never well-wishers of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Krishna doesn't care if someone hurts him, but Krishna becomes very upset when his devotees are harassed. And that is why the first value that we should learn is auspiciousness in our life, if we really want to attract Krishna, is our good behavior. The whole Bhagavatam and whole Bhagavad Gita is actually about conduct. And the best way to conduct ourselves in such a way that we please Krishna and create auspiciousness is to actually be engaged in his service. And it's not very difficult to be engaged in his service. Krishna only asks one thing, that somehow or another we should remember him and we should never forget him. That's the golden rule. Whatever happens, Krishna says, you try to remember me and somehow or another don't forget about me. Tasmat sarveshu kaleshu mam anusmara yudhyacha. 8.7 of Bhagavad Gita. Krishna tells Arjuna so nicely, Arjuna, you don't have to go anywhere else. You fight the war because you have to. This war is part of a higher need to establish dharma over adharma, and you become an instrument. The only thing you have to do is, while you're fighting, you please try to remember me. In other words, when we are performing any activity, Prabhus, Matajis, you just try to put Krishna first. And what's the best way to invoke Krishna? To just chant his names. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare. That's all we can do. Do you know when Krishna appeared in this world, all the stars in the universe, they were not aligned in an auspicious manner. Generally speaking, I'm sure when your children are born, very often your parents or you may check the astrological chart and say whether this is auspicious or not. Most astrologers will tell you, oh, this is the most auspicious date for the child. And then after many years you realize, hey, how many things are happening, but the astrologer said one thing and this is something else. Sometimes astrologers, if they need something, because financial status is not very good, they say everything is good, but you have to do these pujas, otherwise nothing will happen. But for Krishna's case, nobody had to do anything. Because when Krishna appeared in this world, Bhagavatam tells us something important. Even though the stars were not aligned, they all aligned themselves in an auspicious, the most auspicious position possible. Why? Because Krishna was coming into this world. Please, if you forget everything else today, I don't think you'll forget Akbar and Birbal. But if you forget everything else today, then you please remember this point. When the Supreme Lord appeared, He did not have to appear in an auspicious time. The time that He appeared, because of His appearance, is in itself auspicious. There's a difference. The stars aligned themselves to welcome Krishna. Not that Krishna said, let me find the time when the stars are in place and then I will come. No. When the Supreme Lord is invoked by chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, everything that is inauspicious will automatically become auspicious. We don't have to worry about whether we are in the right direction, whether the sun is this side or that side. We don't have to worry whether the Vastu is alright or Vastu is not alright. You just chant Krishna's names, and everything which is not alright becomes alright. But if you don't chant Krishna's names, then whatever that appears to be alright can also become not so alright. This is something we should remember. That's why it is our experience in spiritual life that there's no such thing as auspiciousness and inauspiciousness. The only auspiciousness in Bhagavatam is known as Shravana Mangal. Shravana Mangal means for the benefit of all. Bhagavatam tells us that Krishna consciousness, the awareness of who we are in relation to our Supreme Father, that is the most auspicious activity. But even more auspicious than that, Prabhus and Matajis, is when we spread this benefit to everyone else. That's why we're very pleased with Chaitanya Prabhu. Because not only did he call us for this auspicious occasion, but he's spreading the benefit by calling all his friends, all his relatives. That is considered in Bhagavatam as actually Mangal. So when we share something which is very wonderful and which has changed our lives, that becomes ultimately the most auspicious thing we can do. Imagine if you had diamond and you said, I only want to keep it with myself. As opposed to someone who has diamond and says, diamond is very valuable and I want to share it with you because it is valuable. Who is a better person? Who is a higher order thinker? You don't even have to answer the question. You will realize that. If you have gained an experience so wonderful and you know it benefits you, will you keep it to yourself or will you knock the door of the next person whom you love or whom you care for and say, I have something very precious. I want to share it with you. The person who does that becomes more pleasing to Krishna than the person who is what we call Kripana. Just miser. I have something valuable, I'll keep it to myself. That is why we invite our friends, our relatives. That is why we sit down. That is why we chant. Your daughter is very auspicious. Because of somehow or another, because of her, we are today hearing about Krishna. That is ultimately what auspiciousness means. So don't be caught up by the material idea of auspiciousness. But every time we become troubled in this world, you just add the spiritual names of God. And it doesn't matter what names of God you chant. All names of God are bona fide. We just have to chant them with feeling. That's all. The more we chant with feeling, the more we chant with the heart, the more auspiciousness is created. But if we just chant and we don't put our heart into it, there is power, no doubt. But the taste, the sweetness, it may elude us. And you all know, in life, whatever we should do, let's do it properly. Otherwise, don't do it at all. It's better. So that's all we wanted to share with you. This wonderful point of auspiciousness. Perhaps if you looked at an astrological chart, maybe the time was not right. Maybe the constellations are not good. Maybe it's not the best month for anything. But for a devotee, every day is auspicious. For a devotee, every moment is auspicious. As long as we can put Krishna in the center. Thank you, Chaitanya Prabhu. I just wanted to share with you what Bhagavatam's perspective of auspiciousness is. And And if you can, you please share it with everyone. The gopis, the great devotees of the Lord, they chanted this beautiful prayer. Tava katha amritam tapta jivanam kavi biriditam kalmasapaham shravana mangalam shrimadatatam bhuvi granantiye bhuride janaha. So they chant so nicely to say Tava Katha Amritam. They say any katha which has to do with the Supreme Lord is Amrit. And not only is it Amrit, it is Tapta Jivana. It is so pleasing and satisfying to the soul. And they say that this is Kalma Shapaham. It eradicates all sinful activities, all papa. It goes automatically when you chant Krishna's names. That's why it's auspicious. And it is Shravana Mangalam. It is meant for the benefit of all. So if you do this only for yourself, well, auspiciousness is a little bit there. But if you do it and share it with others, it becomes ultimately the most auspicious. Jai Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki. Shall we chant Krishna's names for a while? That will be a good way to create auspiciousness. That will be a good way for us to end the program. And that will be a good way for us to understand what is the meaning of auspiciousness. Now, as you chant Krishna's names, my only humble request to all of you is chant as loudly as you can. Krishna doesn't care whether you sing very nicely or you're a good singer or you know your ragas. He's not bothered. Krishna is only bothered with the heart of the devotee. That's why he's known as Bhava Grahi Janardana. He takes the essence of the devotional service, not interested in what you wear. I may be wearing dhoti, kurta, tilak, looking like a devotee, but if my heart is not with Krishna, there's no value to it. You may wear whatever you want, but if your heart is with Krishna, Krishna sees that. Appearance is not so important as substance. Vande Krishna Nanda Kumara, Vande Krishna Nanda Kumara, Nanda Kumara Madana Gopala, Nanda Kumara Madana Gopala, Madana Gopala Mohana Rupa, Madana Gopala Mohana Rupa, Mohana Rupa Nanda Kumara, Mohana Rupa Nanda Kumara, Jaya Jaya Deva Hari, Jaya Jaya Deva Hari, Jaya Jaya Deva Hari, Jaya Jaya Deva Hari. Vande Krishna Nanda Kumara, Vande Krishna Nanda Kumara, Nanda Kumara Madana Gopala, Nanda Kumara Madana Gopala Mohana Rupa, Madana Gopala Mohana Rupa, Mohana Rupa Nanda Kumara, Mohana Rupa Nanda Kumara, Jaya Jaya Deva Hari, Jaya Jaya Deva Hari, Jaya Jaya Deva Hari, Jaya Jaya Deva Hari. Vande Krishna Nanda Kumara, Vande Krishna Nanda Kumara, Nanda Kumara Madana Gopala, Nanda Kumara Madana Gopala Mohana Rupa, Madana Gopala Mohana Rupa, Jaya Deva Hari. Jaya Jaya Deva Hari. Jaya Jaya Deva Hari. Jaya Jaya Deva Hari. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, can't hear you. Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Bol, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Bol, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Jai Shri Harinam. Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Gopika, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Go. Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Can't hear you. Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jai Shri Harinam. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Govinda Jaya Jaya Gopal Jaya Jaya Govinda Jaya Jaya Gopal Jaya Jaya Radha Raman Hari Govinda Jaya Jaya Govinda Jaya Jaya Gopal Jaya Jaya Gopal Jaya Jaya Govinda Jaya Jaya Gopal Jaya Jaya Radha Raman Hari Govinda Jaya Jaya Radha Raman Hari Govinda Jaya Jaya Jai Radha Govinda Ji ki Radhe Govinda Radhe Gopala Radhe Govinda Radhe 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 Govinda Radhe Govinda Radhe Gopala Radhe 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 Govinda Radhe Govinda Radhe Gopala Radhe 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 Govinda Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Nittai Gaura Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Nittai Gaura Hari Bol Jaya Jaya Prabhupada 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Jaya Gurudev 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 Jaya Jaya Gurudev Jai Shri Harinam Sankirtan Yajna ki Hare Krishna Mahamantra Dharma ki Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki Ananta Kuri Vaishnava Vrinda ki Nitai Gaura Premanjana. Thank you very much, Prabhu. Thank you for having us. So we hope that we will meet you again sometime, Krishna willing. We have a very big Rath Yatra coming up for Jagannath, Baladev and Subhadra. It's going to be on September the 10th at the Yojukan Stadium. So more details on that from maybe Pankaj Prabhu, Nam Sankirtan Prabhu. And please remember one thing, our meetings are not accident. There's always a reason why we all meet. And there's also a reason why we meet at a particular time. So it's always good after hearing about Bhagavatam and hearing about Krishna to reflect within. The meaning of self-realization is that we realize who we are, actually. But we have to realize who we are in relation to where we have come from. The moment we make these two concepts together, then we understand that we come from the Supreme Father. And no matter where, in which part of the world we are, just like a son cannot deny the fact that he is linked to his father, in the same way, we cannot deny the fact that all that we are is finally coming from our Supreme Father. That's very important. Hare Krishna. Thank you.
So, on behalf of Chetan, myself, I am with elder brother, some of you already know. So, we thank Prabhuji for coming over and giving us a wonderful lecture and leading us to Kirtan. So, we'll go down now.